Let me also welcome once again all the participants who have joined now with us. So thanks for joining in the session. In this session, we're going to talk about careers in equity valuation and more specifically, what can aspiring chartered accountants as well as chartered accountants who are qualified at this point could do to basically build a career in this. Uh, we are a firm which specializes into financial services education, and we run an online portal where we have a set of e-learning courses which help students build a career in finance. We're more than just pure play education providers. We help people with building a career, trying to find out what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are, and kind of work on them as we go along. Over the last 5 to 7 years, we have interacted with about 40,000 plus participants across a lot of programs that we have done, both in terms of corporate as well as the retail B2C space. We have a YouTube channel. Some of you might already be aware of it and might be following that. We have a strong campus reach in India in terms of the MBA campuses, and the top 100 B school is where a lot of our students come from, and we have done more than 500 plus sessions in the last 5 to 7 years, sessions like these in the past. I will be your host for the day. My name is Piyush, and I have close to about 16 years of experience in services. I am an MBA and an engineer as per my education qualification, and have worked in equity research and fund management prior to starting FinShiksha. I have also done my CFA. My primary areas of interests are valuation, derivatives, and financial markets. Some of you are connected with me. You can find me on LinkedIn. Uh, Gives me great pleasure to invite our guest speaker for the day, Anushka Chhajed. Anushka is a chartered accountant and has cleared all 3 levels of CFA. She has a work experience of 5 years in the field of sell-side equity research. We'll explain what that is as we go along. She's currently working as an equity research associate at Elara Capital in the strategy team for the institutional desk. She's covered banking sector in her prior role as an associate. On the personal front, she's a certified face reader, and she loves reading faces of people and their behaviors. So a very warm welcome to you, Anushka. Thanks a lot for taking out time for this session.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Piyush, for having me here today. And thank you for the warm welcome. I would also like to congratulate FinShiksha for organizing today's webinar to help CA students explore opportunities other than the traditional streams. I hope today's session will be helpful to all the participants. Thank you so much.
Sure. Thanks a lot. So this is brilliant. We'll just get on with the session. We won't take any more of your time in terms of the stuff. As I said, just share your questions on the chat. We'll first have a bunch of questions that I have prepared for Anushka, which I have heard from a lot of people over the past few years of my interaction with students. And then we'll open it up for you guys to ask any questions. You can type your questions in the chat box. I'll repeat the question and we'll start. Right. So let's begin right away with the first question. And the first question to you, Anushka, would be what kind of careers exist in equity research? We've heard of these terms like, buy side, sell side. What do all of these mean?
Correct. So let me begin with explaining what exactly is equity research and what involves in the work of a equity research analyst. So equity research is primarily it involves research on a company to to form an opinion and then give you a recommendation of buy or sell, whether you should buy or sell the stock. So a lot of effort goes into doing the research of the company. So it begins with first you analyze the company's financials. You go through the annual reports of the company. You understand the company's business model. You understand how the company is making money. You understand the thinking of the management. So you understand the present status of the company. You understand what the company has done in the past. That is the first step. Now, a lot of effort then goes into estimating the future earnings of the company, because future is what we look for. What are the growth opportunities that are available for the company? So a lot of effort of an analyst goes into estimating the future earnings. You read, you attend the con calls, you talk to the management, you talk to the channel partners, you take customer reviews of the company's products. A lot of research goes into that to estimate the future earnings of the company. So that is broadly the role of an equity research analyst. Now, I would like to quote an example here. So, an analyst wanted to estimate the number of units that the Apple will sell in a year. you know so now that analyst went to the extent of he tried to estimate the number of screens that will be needed to manufacture the phones, because the number of units of screens used would be the number of mobile phones manufactured. So he went to the factory of the company from where the Apple sources its screens. He counted the number of trucks which are coming in and going out, and based on that he did his calculation of how many screens Apple bought from the company, and based on that he estimated the number of units the Apple will the number of mobile the Apple will sell and what will be its future earnings. So that is broadly the role of equity research analyst. Now there are broadly two streams in it. One is the sell side and one is the buy side. I'll begin with the sell side part, as I'm part of the sell side research. So sell side analysts try to do their research, and they try to sell their research to the buy side clients. Now, so the sell side analyst primarily works for the brokerage firms, and they do their research, they write their reports, and they try to sell their reports to the buy side clients. Now, in return, what the brokerage firms get? So they get the commission. Now, if any entity wants to buy or sell a security, they need a broker. So these brokerage firms, in a bid to earn as much commission as they can, they have their own research team set up. Their team members go and pitch their ideas to the buy side clients. Now, if their idea gets selected, if the buy side clients like their service, the buy side clients buy or sell their shares through the brokers. Now the brokers earn commission on that. So that is the primarily earning for the brokerage guys. And the sell side analysts are there to sell their research to the buy side clients. Now, who are the buy side clients? So the buy side analysts are the analysts who actually invest in the companies whose research they are doing. So they primarily work for mutual funds, hedge funds, pension funds, the corporates which are surplus. There are insurance companies. There are high net worth individuals. All these are people who have money to invest. Now they want to invest their money, but and they need research for it. So they have their own team members. So they are the buy side clients, but buy side clients mostly rely on the sell side analysts to do the groundwork research for them, to talk to the dealers, to talk to the management, to set up a meeting with the management. So clients go to the sell side analysts to gather as much research as they can, to gather as much information as they can on a particular company, on a particular sector, about the markets, about the economics. It could be anything. It varies. It's a wide range of services that the sell side analysts give to the buy side guys. So that is broadly how equity research industry works. Now, for sell side also, we have two divisions. One is the retail and one is the institutional. Now, for the retail is a small segment wherein individuals like you and me who have small capital and we want to invest. So that way we need the services of sell side retail, wherein they write reports to which we can get access, and they do some research work for us. But institutional research is where the big money is, where the big players are, the mutual funds, the insurance companies who have big funds. And the level and the degree of research in institutional is way ahead than what happens in retail. So that is where everybody wants to be, part of sell side institutional research, or to be part of the buy side research, where you actually get to make the decision of whether to invest in a company or not. Sell side analysts do their research, they give their ratings, but they don't invest themselves. So everybody wants to go to the buy side, but of course it's a climbing ladder. People get into sell side first, they get into institutional sell side, and then from there they get into buy side research. And it is a very challenging and exciting job. Every day new things are coming up, and you have to link with what government policies are coming. What government policies will have impact on your company, how the competition is shaping up. Let's say if we see the paints industry today, we have major players already. Now new players are coming. Grasim has announced its entry. JSW paints have already come. So, you need to analyze and understand all the dynamics, ki what will happen now with new big players entering the industry with big capital, and, they are ready to invest big. So what it means for the existing players, what it means for the existing leaders. So a lot of this research happens to analyze company, and then to form an opinion, and then you say whether you should buy or sell the stock at the current market price. Now the current market dynamics is also important. What are the valuations? The company is good, the future is good, but what about the valuations? Is it worth to buy at the current price, or we should wait for the price to come down? So all of these things happen, and of course once you get into it, you learn with experience, you grow. I am still learning. So yeah, so to sum it up, the process, the main thing is to analyze the company and to give your rating whether to buy or sell.
Thank
Hope
you.
that.
That's a very nice detailed answer around it. I have a few follow-up questions that people have given, but I think we'll take it towards the later part just for the continuity of the session, right? So the next question that you've outlined what the day's role looks like for an analyst, what is really required to be done, and the way analysts go to the extent of actually visiting, let's say, a supplier factory and trying to figure out what kind of data works out there. Uh, what skills would you think are needed by someone who wants to, let's say, build a career here and succeed here in these segments?
Correct. A very important question indeed. So the first and foremost thing that I feel is one should have a keen interest in the financial markets to be successful in this field. That how the markets work, how the investors think, what matrices are the investors looking for. So a good understanding of the financial markets is very important. Second, ability to understand a business is again very important. Like I said, how the business is making money. What is the management thinking? What are the management's future plans? What is the advantage a particular company has over another company? So it is very important to be able to understand a business. Now, CAs, when we do audit, we do get some idea of it. When we are doing the internal audit, or when we are doing the stat audit, we do get some idea how the businesses are run. But of course, a more detailed idea, or a more detailed how the company is making money, what are the advantage that a company has over its competition, is also important to understand. Then financial statement analysis is there, wherein you read annual reports, you read con calls, you read transcripts of the con calls that the company organizes, you read the con calls to understand the company. And an important thing is to read between the lines, what the company actually says, and whether it is happening on ground or not. Like, we have had few examples of what happened with the Yes Bank. They are reporting great numbers, great growth, but where is this growth coming from? So you actually need to go to the market. You actually need to validate whether the information that has been presented in the annual reports or in the financial statements is accurate or not. Say a company is expanding with very rapidly, it is opening stores after stores, and it is getting good sales, and everything looks so good on the outer front. But how is it able to grow so fast? Has it taken too much debt on its book? Will the company be able to repay its debt on time or not? Is also an important question that needs to be seen. So not just the profit growth or the rate of expansion that is important, but how that growth is coming, what are the debt ratios, how efficiently the company is able to utilize its cash. All these things go into financial statement analysis. There are multiple ratios, multiple return ratios, how the company manages its working capital. All these things need to be seen before you form an opinion on the company. Now, a very one more important thing is a very good understanding of the macroeconomics and politics is also required. How the decisions made by the government of the company impact the business. How which industries will thrive in which environment. How the let's say currently our government is focusing a lot on the infrastructure, so that when we are able to link that with the companies that are functioning, how the which sectors will benefit from this with what policies of the government, how the inflation is going to have an impact on the consumption pattern of the consumers, how the interest rates are going to impact sales of to consumer durables or homes. So all these things being able to connect the macroeconomics or the political decisions to how they will impact the business of a particular company, that linking ability is also very important. Then a lot of time is spent on estimating the numbers of the company. So good financial modeling skills are also important because it is in Excel where you make all your models, where you make all your assumptions, where you project the earnings. So very detailed financial models are made in sell side research, wherein you estimate each and every the revenue of each and every model that the company makes. Then each and every expense item is also estimated separately. So very detailed financial models are made, and a good financial modeling skills are also required. Then a good understanding of valuation methods. There are multiple valuation methods available. You have DCF, discount and cash flow method. Then we have relative valuation, price to book, price to earnings, EV by EBITDA. Which multiple is important for which sector? Which multiple should be used for which company? All this understanding is also very important. Then being on sell side, a majority of the part goes in writing the reports because you're in the business of selling your research. You have to sell your research, so you need to present it in a very easy and attractive manner so that it appeals to the client, it is easy to understand, and it looks presentable. So good report writing skills forms a major part of it. Then communication skills, of course, because you have to sell your research, you have to communicate your ideas. And apart from that, you communicate with the management of the company, you communicate with various people when you're trying to learn about the company, when you're trying to research about the company. So good communication skills are also very important. Now, all these skills, when I mentioned Piyush, all these skills are required to have a successful career, but all these skills can be improved upon as you begin working. Of course, they are not all prerequisite. I mean, one does not need to be an expert in all these skills on day one, but just slight inclination, slight understanding, slight improvement in the skills can be a good and long way.
Sure. Great. So that's a good summary of all the major skills that are basically needed. Uh, People have this question in the mind that how do I get into this space? How many such jobs are actually available in this space?
Okay, so in terms of jobs availability, I will say unfortunately it is a small industry. There is a demand supply mismatch, as in many people want to get, but the demand is less, supply is high. So one does need to have good skill set to enter into the industry. Now, to begin with, we have both domestic and international players. International players have their domestic arm also, and they have the international arm also. So let's first talk about the domestic arm. So in domestic arm, the companies which are dealing with the Indian stock markets. So we have majority of the banks are there. Majority of the banks have their own, securities company in terms of sell side, and many international banks also have set up their operations in India, and they are also working as brokers. So I would say close to, let's say there are if there are 100 brokers in the country, there are close to 100 brokers in the country, and each broker has a team of close to 25 to 30 people. So that is around 3,000, close to 3,000 jobs there. Now, this is sell side. Now, when we move to buy side, it is a more concentrated space. So there are close to 40 to 45 fund houses in India right now, and they also have a small team of 25 to 30 people. So that gives us around 12,000 jobs. There are small PMS funds are there, but that is again adds up to 100, 200 more jobs. So the jobs are less. Now the international players who have their international operations set up in India, say Bank of America has a team here who is doing research on the US companies. So they also have a good team, and that is also a good way to start a career in this field, because they hire people from India because of the cheap labor, and they want to do their research of the US companies from here. So it gives you idea of how equity research is done, because the process is same. You do it in India or you do it in US. So being a back end operations also, it gives you a good idea of how the industry works, how the equity research process is, and it can be a good start point. Though it's a small industry, but I'm with the right skill set and with the right training, one can definitely get into it. But one needs to upskill, because the CA community, we have good sound technical knowledge, but the business knowledge or the analytical skills is somewhere where we lack, which I also found lacking when I entered the industry. So if one takes steps to improve their skills, one can definitely get into the industry.
Okay, perfect. I'll just summarize this broadly, what you've said. So broadly, there are both domestic and international players, and maybe some names might be helpful, as you said, Bank of America. So international players, their India research arms would include the likes of, let's say, a Nomura or a JP Morgan or a Morgan Stanley or a Citibank. And, all of these guys would have their Indian desks researching on Indian equity markets and coming out with reports. So that's the sell side broking arm of those guys. Domestic sell side guys would include the likes of Kotak Securities, Motilal Oswal, ICICI Securities, and so on and so forth. International players who have their international operations backend here would include the likes of, once again, I think JP Morgan has those where they kind of work across locations. A lot of equity research for Asia, Europe, and US gets covered in India. We have guys like Nomura, Credit Suisse, and a few more players who are basically in that space. So
There
that
are many KPOs also. There are many
correct.
KPOs also, Aranka, Trust Vista, who are serving the international clients, who are serving Indian clients also, but it is not a very
Correct.
front-end job. It is a back-end job, but one can begin with it.
Because the skill sets needed are similar, right? So you can try getting
Exactly,
into those and
exactly.
then moving to
The
the
skill sets
actual
are
sales.
similar.
Fair
Correct,
enough. Perfect.
correct.
So
That
that's
helps.
basically the contour of where we are. But yeah, relatively smaller sized industry. So skill sets tend to become non-negotiable for candidates.
Correct,
Uh,
correct, correct.
right? Yeah. So I'll move on. As a CA, what recommendations would you have for people aspiring to build a career in these areas? Right? You've given a few ideas, but let's build on that as we go along.
Yes, yes. So the most common query of the CA is, how do I get into this industry? So I would like to begin with a very positive note that, like I said earlier, it is very much possible to get a job in equity research. Just a little bit of effort other than the curriculum that we study, and you're good to go. So, of course, the need to improve your skill set is there. Either you can do it self or you can opt for some course. There are many courses available in the market regarding valuations or equity research, financial modeling. Multiple courses are there. You can choose from it. If you want to do it on your own, so on your own, what you can do is you can try to do research on a company, try to write a report, try to make a model on your own, try to learn Excel skills on your own. That also helps. But some skills need to be upgraded. Or if you don't want to do a course, or if you find that doing research on a company on self is not that fruitful, you can opt for internship. I have seen some of my CA friends who have done internship at a brokerage firm. It could be at a brokerage firm or at a buy side firm also. But so you can do an internship. The only loss is, after doing your CA, there will be some loss of pay, but it's totally worth it. A few months of internship, and you actually get to learn on the job, and it's very helpful. And the internship gets converted into a job pretty easily. So that is one option to get an internship. Second option is, like, if you're pursuing your CA and while studying only you realize you want to pursue career in finance or in equity research, you can opt for industrial training in this field. The last 1 year that we are given as an option to do industrial training. You can do industrial training, and that again also helps. Once you do the industrial training, you clear your CA. I don't think you will need to do any other course after that, because you have already done the training. You know what happens in the industry. You have some experience. So if you go out to apply a job in this field, it will be pretty easy after that. Now, if you have not done industrial training, or if you are not open to the idea of internship, then one more option is, like I said, to work with the international banks who have set up in India, or the KPOs who are set up in India, to get an idea of the industry, to get some experience in the industry, and then move to the front end job. So one can begin with the back end job and then move to the front end job. So I guess these are the major 3-4 options that one can opt for to pursue career in.
Sure, sure. Uh, Moving on, what skills should someone focus on for a career in these areas? Again, you have highlighted a little bit of this, but I wanted more specific to, if let's say so there's a CA student who's aspiring to be a CA, or someone who's just become a CA, then what skills are needed, and what, if you could also add, what has your experience been in this, in terms of trying to build a career in this area? You've done the CFA as well. So what has your experience been over this period?
Sure, sure. So when I decided, so I'll share my experience first. So when I was studying, I decided I want to pursue career in finance, not exactly equity research, but I decided to pursue career in finance. So I did my articleship in the field of finance. It was project finance, where we would help clients get a loan from the banks. So more on the debt side. So that was my articleship. I have not done articleship in audit or tax. So I've done it in finance. So there I learned financial, Excel skills, because there also we used to make models to project earnings of the companies. Though it was on a small scale, but it helped a lot. Because I was already apt at using the Excel. I was already apt at making some reports, because there also we used to make small reports, though it was from the debt point of view, but I had some idea on how to write and how to, present companies' information or prospects and all those things. So that helped a lot. Then I didn't stop there. I enrolled for CFA also. And then I also did a certification course in equity research and financial modeling from Indore. So I belong from Indore. So that again helped a lot. And I started my journey with working with a US startup in the area of equity research. So I guess I did all of it. But one piece of advice, I was from Indore, I didn't know much about the industry. So even after doing the courses and everything, I started working with a KPO. But I think with a little more effort, one can get in directly into, maybe a small brokerage firm. But an entry into a small brokerage firm with some certification course is very much possible if one keeps on trying, because I tried a lot. I mean, I gave many interviews at big firms, small firms, and finally I got a break at CA Anushka, which is a relatively small firm. And then from there, I moved to Elara Capital. So it has been an exciting journey. Now, what my advice to other CA students would be on the same line, while you are studying or while you are conducting your audits, be more open minded to how the company is earning money. Like what are the product portfolio of the company, and learn from your surroundings also. Or have, when we are discussing, mostly what CA students discuss is how to solve an accounting problem or how to solve a taxation problem. But the discussions can move more to how a particular company is running its business, how if you like a certain policy of a company, which is making the company earn a lot of money, or which is giving the company a competitive advantage. You can discuss it with your friends. And in CA curriculum, what we lack is discussions. We don't, because it's a distance learning course, so that brainstorming, that case studies discussion don't happen. So the students can on themselves try to do those things when they are doing audit, or even if they are doing solving tax problems for a company. So they can more discussion on the business ideas, on different possibilities, or how a business is run, or how the money is made, just rather than focusing on the process of reporting. Because it's not a fault also, because the course is designed in a way where your skill set is required to verify the reporting of the company, whether the accounts reported are accurate or not. But a CA student can go beyond it, try to learn how the business is run, how the money is made, can look at various different ratios also. And so all these things a CA student can do, can try to read about the sector, because we in CAs also we are assigned a particular sector. If you're doing audit, you are in a particular sector, so you can read more about the sector, what's happening in the sector, which company is coming up with new ideas, new products. And then try to analyze, do some analysis on your own, comparing financials of two companies, how this company's return, why this company's return ratios are so less and this companies are more, what is the reason behind it. So all those things a CA student can do to increase its understanding, to improve his or her skill set and get an entry into the field.
Great, great. I think that's very useful. Uh, some tangible next steps, small steps that people can take on a daily basis, right? This sounds fine in terms of, I should add analytical skills, I should do, improve my communication skills and all. But what are those small steps that people can take on a daily basis now? Let's say after this session, now they've understood what the areas are, what skill sets are needed in order to improve their skill set in these areas.
Okay, sure. So the primary thing is to follow the markets on a regular basis, how and follow the markets, follow the news, how the markets are reacting to the news, how the different sector indices are performing to different news that follows, following government policies and government, like recently we saw how recently we saw the budget, so one can do a detailed analysis on the budget. You will find numerous reports on, if you just Google, the budget reports, there are different news articles. So because we CA students only concern ourselves with what is the tax rules that came up in the budget, but you can look at it differently, how in which areas the government is spending, and how those areas will benefit which sectors. So a more detailed reading and understanding of the government policies. I think following news is the basic and most important thing that one should do, because if you read, you will eventually understand many things. Then you can read annual reports. Just pick one or two companies, whose product you understand, or whose product is very widely used around you, and so you can just pick it up and you can read the annual reports. So you'll understand a lot of things, how the full product portfolio of the company, how the management thinks, which geographies the management is looking to expand to, how the business is done. See, reading in this field is the most important thing, so try to read as much as you can. Read news, read annual reports, read research reports by big brokerage houses. They are available on their websites. Some reports, of course, not all reports are available, but some reports are available on their portals. Some reports are available if you just, Google about a company, and if you try to find a report on it, you'll find it. So you'll get to know how the reports are written, how the data is presented, what ratios are they using to analyze the company, what are the valuation methods that they are using. If you read one or two research reports, a lot of clarity will come, what actually happens behind it. Then I would suggest to begin, like I said, to begin with small companies, who have relatively simple business model rather than going for a conglomerate like Reliance. One can begin with small companies who's like Dixon Technologies, who is into making mobile phones. And mobile phone is something which we relate very easily. We know what's happening around, what is the competition, what are the different brands that are there, what is happening in the space. You can read about Voltas, because AC is being widely used in our houses, or Orient Electric because we use their electronics, so we can relate with it. So begin with small companies who have a smaller portfolio, which is easy to understand. And once you read their annual report or a research report about them, a lot of clarity and understanding will come. And then you can eventually understand whether you have an interest in this field. And if you have an interest in this, if you want to improve your skills, you will realize that, yeah, you want to do a course or not, or is it self-sufficient, about what I am reading is self-sufficient or not. So that way you can start doing research on a company on your own. You can try to write a report, and you can seek mentorship on LinkedIn. There are many people who will be, not everybody might be open to help, but many people will give you some time, will give some feedback, will help you in some way, if you write a report and seek their help. So you can try to do that. So one can try to do all these things, to understand the industry and first get an idea whether, they are apt, they have inclination in this industry or not.
Perfect, perfect. This is very, very useful, Anushka. Uh, I think we are at the end of our set of questions that we had. There are a lot of questions that people have put in, so I'll start kind of pushing those out now and reading those so that you can try and answer some of those. I'll combine some of them. I
Sure,
think some
sure.
of them have been answered to a certain degree already, but I'll just go through them once and then keep repeating them as we go along. So one of the questions is, does a company like, let's say, an Elara Capital or any other broker for that matter, do they hire CAs as industrial trainees? And if yes, then what do they look in such a candidate?
Yes, so in my own firm also, we had an industrial training in the IB team, in the investment banking team. I'm not sure about equity research, but we did have an intern, CA intern in our company. So yes, companies like us do hire interns or industrial trainees. The skill set would again be, like I mentioned, of course, you don't need to be an expert in it. Just slight inclination, slight knowledge about the sector, slight knowledge about the financial markets, slight understanding of how the reports are written, and a slight knowledge of what all ratios, what all return ratios or what all financial ratios one needs to know to get into the industry. Basic knowledge is fine. One does not need to be an expert in it for an internship. Basic knowledge is good to go. Just read. You can just read online about it, and you'll get to know some stuff.
Sure. Even in my experience, I have seen a lot of the, at least the Indian broking firms prefer a lot of CA industrial trainees. Variety of reasons. Usual other internships, for example, for students who come from the MBA segment are only about 2 to 3 months in most cases. Whereas in the case of a CA student, they get an entire year, practically
Correct.
to work with the student. So they find it pretty useful. In fact, to be honest, I think in the Indian fund management industry, if you look at the track record of some of the top fund managers, a lot of them are chartered accountants who have built their career ground up in the industry and have done remarkably well. Some of the top names in India's fund management industry are all CAs from that
Yes,
point.
yes,
A
yes.
couple of other quick questions that have come up, which are sort of similar. CAs who are working in some other domain, let's say either as planning analyst in FMCG firms or currently doing articleship in an indirect taxation space, uh, want to kind of get into this area, probably realize that there is a little bit of challenge in terms of brainstorming on case studies and discussion with peers as you outlined. So is there anything that can be sort of done in terms of trying to overcome that sort of deficiency? You've already said that it's a good idea to probably pick up one sector, one company, do an in-depth research, follow the news on that company, try and build a model on that company, read the annual reports of the company, know about how does the company make money, where do they spend money, what are the key products, how does the business basically run around that. But is there anything else that can be done in addition to this to sort of solve this brainstorming or lack of brainstorming on case studies kind of a thing? You had touched upon it briefly. If you could just repeat that once.
I think doing a course would be a very good idea if you're completely clueless about the industry, and if it's little difficult for you to do research on your own. Doing a course always helps. Like, I also did a course. I was also completely clueless about the industry, and I tried to I tried to study on my own also. But a course always helps because there's a clear direction that you get, clear guidance that you get. So I would advise to go for a 2 to 3 months. In fact, there are, I think, shorter duration courses also. So you can definitely do those courses, and that increases your understanding about the industry, and then it gets a little easy to switch careers or to get into equity research.
Perfect. Couple of quick points. Someone has mentioned that industrial training has now been increased to 1.5 years as well. So that's even better. I think I wasn't aware
That's
of that.
even better.
So that's even better, I think, from the
So now, increasingly, the CA curriculum has also been updated. Matlab, one subject has been removed, and financial market subject has been introduced. So
brilliant.
CA Institute is also increasingly realizing the importance of the industry, or they also feel that CA students should be apt to work in financial markets also. So that will also help, I think, going ahead.
Sure. What kind of salary range exists in this for a fresher who's, let's say, either shifting from tax audit, or someone who's a fresher who's joining as a CA in these firms?
Okay, so being a CA or not CA does not matter. Be with whatever, be in an MBA, whatever. The job profile decides your salary. So salary ranges from some to 5 lakhs to 25 lakhs, depending on the company. If it's a small brokerage firm, the salary range will be low. If it's a medium size, the salary range will be between 10 to 15 lakhs. And if it is a international brand, a big brand like Morgan Stanley or JP Morgan, so they pay close to 20 to 25 lakhs for a fresher. So the salary range largely depends on the company in which you are getting employed. And being a CA fresher, with I think small and mid range companies is what will what look to hire you. Mostly if you are a ranker with a very good track record and some, if you have done an industrial training also, and if you're a ranker also, so a top tier one company might also hire you. So that way your salary will be from 20 to 25 lakhs. But if you are going for a small or mid-sized company, the salary range will vary accordingly.
Sure. We have a question that asks about, do jobs at PE firms or venture capital firms also look similar, and do they recruit CS? So I think I'll pitch in there. Uh, the core skill set needed is more or less similar in our understanding. We will actually do a session where we will invite someone from that segment as well, and talk about how can, let's say, CAs build a career in let's say a private equity firm or a venture capital firm, and what are the core differences when you come up with valuation. Business understanding is generally similar. You need it in both the areas, but just that here you are dealing with more publicly listed firms, so you have a lot of data directly available. There, in a private equity venture capital space, you're working more with a early stage firm. So the evaluation parameters change a little bit, because a lot of the times you don't have things like profits, or even cash flows for that matter are negative for companies. So conventional methods don't work so easily in that area, and they use their own set of methods and parameters to kind of go ahead and look at areas. So we'll do another session there, so that should be useful. um, um, Okay. There are a few more questions that are coming in terms of name some courses that might be useful. So I think there I will be giving an answer in terms of it would be a biased answer, because we do have some courses, and you might probably find them useful. You can visit our website and take a look at those. In fact, the video of this particular session that we are doing would be made available on our website, finshiksha.com. You can create a free account there, and there's already a free course which is auto allocated to you once you create an account. It's called the Finance Bootcamp. Most of the stuff would probably be known by you, but it'll be good if you can just look at it. It'll give you a sense, probably help you recap some of the core concepts around finance and quant finance. And then within that, we keep doing a lot of these sessions, so all those videos would also kind of keep coming up. We have a certain course on equity valuation, but you can look at our website and you'll get some details about that. Okay, so there are lots of questions that are coming about individual situations in terms of having worked in a certain area and uh, trying to kind of change fields. So I'll probably chip in here that it may be difficult for us to go and look at individually each query here in this session. Would request you to drop us an email at programs@finshiksha.com, and we'll ensure that either that reaches Anushka and we get an answer from her, or if we can help you out, we'll do that as well. So programs@finshiksha.com is where you can write your individual queries if they are, because it will be difficult otherwise to kind of take very, very specific queries about an experience that people have, and then how do they try and move around. Broad understanding wise, as Anushka said, I think even from my experience, focusing on certain set of skill sets is necessary in terms of understanding the business, decoding the business, talking the language of how business is run. Basically, धंधा run कैसे हो रहा है, वो अगर आप decode कर सकते हैं, तो that is the key skill that is needed. Accounts are, or financials are, an outcome of that entire process. So
Right.
as Anushka mentioned, that when you're doing audit for a firm in a particular sector, just think, how does this firm basically make money? That is not required, and I know that in your role it may not be required, and you may not even have time for it, to be honest. To be fair, I think the firms are pretty stringent in terms of the amount of work that is given to articles and in the audit space, and hats off to you guys who end up doing that much work. Uh, just change the hat a little bit in terms of thinking that if I was running this business, how would I run this? I think just that simple question switch will help you a lot in terms of getting to that area, right? Um, I think there's a question we are getting, if you're a ranker as a CA, right? Then where can you basically find opportunities, and does that basically sort of improve your chances?
I think being a ranker does improve your chances in a lot of ways. It does give you a head start, okay, it does establishes the fact like this person is a ranker, has good set of knowledge, is a hard working person. So but still a few, you need to have some knowledge about the market, and you need to have some skills like I mentioned, just a brief knowledge about the industry, how the industry works, how the research reports are written. If you have done analysis of one company, if you can just write a 1 or 2 pager of the company and present it to the interviewer, saying, yeah, I did analysis of the company, and I think this company makes a good investment, and these are the things that I like about it. It does not need to be a detailed thing, just a brief thing, a slight inclination, giving the interviewer some confidence that this person is a hardworking person, and he or she understands the markets, he or she understands the business, and he has a good inclination towards it. I think that would help a lot, and that would definitely get you into the industry. In fact, Motilal Oswal itself has this hiring thing where they hire CAs as their management trainees, because when I cleared my CA, they organized, they were hiring CAs for management trainees. Though the seats were very limited, but few people got in. So I think just a slight edge, because most of the CAs normally don't have this knowledge. So if you just have, a slight knowledge, a slight, if you can give the interviewer a slight confidence that you are interested in financial markets, you are interested in research, you have some knowledge, I think that would help a lot.
Perfect, perfect. In fact, now that you speak of Motilal Oswal, that program is actually, I think, called MT Spark program. And incidentally, FinShiksha does the induction workshop for that team once both the MBAs and CAs are eventually in the firm.
Okay.
One final question, because we are almost out of time now. There's this question that comes from a lot of people generally, that if you have had multiple sort of efforts that you've done for CA, and how do you overcome that, and basically then build your profile with respect to this space. So I think broadly rest of it in my understanding remains the same, but if you can just answer, let's say we've answered one spectrum where there's a ranker and there's an edge that a ranker might have, but if, let's say,
Yeah,
someone
yeah.
has more attempts, which is fairly normal because it's a very, very tough course in the first place, right?
Yes, yes,
So
yes. So it's, you can definitely get into the industry. I think the apt thing would be to opt for a course, and even after opt for a course, or you can opt for a KPO. Even though you have had multiple attempts, you have to keep trying. You can connect with people on LinkedIn. You can seek a mentor, like I said, and if you do a course, or if you get into a KPO, you can then eventually, because just the head start is needed. Once you get into the industry, and if you prove yourself, then the degree does not matter. Whether you have cleared your CA in 3 or 4 or multiple attempts does not matter. So to get a head start, I think two very good options is, one, to do a course, and or second, you can try with a KPO. KPOs do hire CAs, with multiple attempts also. So these are the two things that you can try.
and try internships, guys. I think
Internships, yes.
you should be open to going to a company and saying, look, I don't care about the pay right now. Please take me for 6 months. Let me prove that I can do this. While you are attempting your CA, you will have some time, focus on that. I think increasingly, in my
Correct.
understanding, I've been in education for the last 10 years now. In my understanding, one more thing that firms have started, I've seen this gradual shift happening where in India, firms used to have a very specific focus on degrees, right? That has started going off a little bit. A lot of firms, a lot of people have started figuring out that even if I get a good candidate who may not be an MBA but a good graduate, for example, or someone who's pursuing CA, that can go on the side. But if someone really has the zeal and enthu to work in that role, people are fairly more open to looking at these cases than, let's say, what they were 6 years, 7 years ago. And I've seen that shift happen, and I think that is only going to sort of increase, because uh, people have realized over a period of time that, while a degree does serve a very strong purpose in terms of a choice that a firm can make, skill sets can come beyond the, with or without the degree as well. So a lot of the firms have started exploring that route. Just be aware that, you need to have the skill set. Whether you have the degree or not is an additional point that you can have, as you go along. That doesn't mean I'm saying that, you don't follow the degree part at all. Please finish that as well, but don't get disheartened if that's not getting cleared, because even for example in mbas, right, if you're not in the top few mba schools, there's this challenge that starts happening in terms of placements there as well. So I think, from the perspective of what Anushka was trying to say, is add that skill set to your profile. If you can do that, if you can sit in front of someone and talk about a company for half an hour, I think the deal is done.
Correct, correct. Very well put,
Right.
Piyush. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's broadly it from us, guys. Thanks a lot, Anushka, for your time. This has been an absolute pleasure. I think the students and the participants from the CA community who have come up and definitely liked it. Please share your thoughts and feedback on the chat box. That would be very, very useful. Please keep your questions coming at programs@finshiksha.com. You would have received a Zoom link as well to attend this session. So you have that ID as well. You can just respond to that ID as well. That would be really, really good to kind of interact. Please create an account on our website. It's a free account. We keep uploading all these videos from all the webinars that we do into that same free course that will get auto allocated to your account. So that should be pretty useful as well. Once again, thanking Anushka a lot in terms of
Thank
conducting
you,
this session.
Piyush. Thanks a lot for having me, and thank you all the participants for attending to today's session. And please reach out to me in case of any queries or any doubts. I'll be happy to connect.
Sure. Thank you, guys. Thanks a lot. You have a good weekend, whatever is left of it, and see you guys online on the next few days. The links for our company's LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube handles are there. Connect with us there. Follow us there for any updates that stuff we keep doing around that. Thank you. That's it
Thank
from
you.
me.
Thank you
Signing
so
off.
much.
Thank you.
Yeah.